Tasty every time.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Episode 2. Man, it's been like 2 weeks since the first one.
Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks.
We decided that we were going to do this every Tuesday, absolutely without fail.
No breaks.
No break.
No excuses. We already let ourselves down.
Yeah, I had a trip to Michigan get in the way. So.
Well, dude, I actually wanted to talk about that a little bit. I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts about Matthew Logan, but perhaps we can get into that in just a moment.
I have thoughts for sure. What did you want to know about Michigan? Are they related or?
They are related. I guess I was more curious about like what you came back from the trip with, because you were gone for how many days?
It was like a 8-day,
8-day tour,
6 or 7 days.
Right, playing that is.
Right, something like that.
Right.
It was like a week ago now. So.
Profitable for you? I mean, it was
a good tour. You know, we saw a bunch of family and friends. We actually played our first show in Greenville, Michigan, which is where we're from.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird that we've never played a show there, and I kind of didn't even realize that was the case. And then, as the tour got closer, I'm like, wait a second, this is the first time we've ever played
the
there.
hometown, man.
We've played in a city kind of near there, like 10 minutes away, which is like. The fact that there's another city 10 minutes away shows how small these these quote-unquote cities are. But we played a show in Belding, Michigan, which is just down the road. But yeah, it was our first time playing in Greenville. We saw some cool people. It was good.
Right. That's your hometown where you grew up, Greenville?
Yeah.
So from Greenville, Michigan to Greenville, South Carolina?
Yeah, I moved Greenville to Greenville. That's what everyone...
Is there some sort of irony?
No one can process that information. They start burning and fusing.
Right.
And then they go ecstatic when they make the connection that I went from Greenville to Greenville. Everyone thinks they're
cool.
the first one to call it out, too. They're like,
yeah.
Like it's news to me.
Have you ever realized, man?
That's exactly what happens.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was a good trip. And then, of course, we had some good shows when we got back, including the Matthew Logan Vasquez show, which you just mentioned.
Oh, yeah. That was a great show, man.
I enjoyed myself. We were standing pretty close. You were just like a few people to my left, so I could tell you were having a good time as well.
Oh, great time.
He worked the crowd like a pro.
Well, it was such an incredible feat, but really it was more on Matthew's end. Like the dude just knows how to work the crowd.
Yeah, he's a pro, you know.
I was going to ask you, so as a performance artist, what do you call yourself firstly? What do you call yourself? A musician?
Most of the time I'm a musician. I'd like to it's sexier for me to call myself a music producer, I think.
Yeah.
Or like a content creator or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean I'm a musician, you know. I perform in a band.
Right.
I write songs,
So as a musician then, why is Matthew Logan so good? Like there was nobody in that room who wasn't feeling that music. It was an amazing show. What is it about him? How does he's got the magic, you know what I mean?
My friend Dan, actually he was texting me today about the show. This is like days, the show was days ago. That's how good the show is. There's still a buzz going on. And he mentioned that same thing, like, you know, how is it he's got just so much command? And then command is what it is that he has.
Yeah,
you know, it's that intangible, almost undefinable glow. Yeah. That, you know, someone in this business who's successful has, you know, or everyone kind of strives towards. And you know, when you're in a room, you just know where he's where he is in the room. But yeah, he was cool, you know, and he was pretty chill, you know. He wasn't like caught up too much in himself, which is cool. I'm always a little afraid to meet someone who I admire musically because I was scared to death that we're gonna have a bad interaction. Either I'm gonna screw it up and say something stupid, or he's
gonna be a huge
right, you know. And you know, everybody has their bad days, but it sucks when it's their day with you.
Yeah, right.
So I was a little worried, and he actually just released a record that I really, really have enjoyed, and I almost felt like I couldn't fully enjoy it till the show was over because I didn't want to have my heart broken.
Yeah, well, he played, 2 or 3 tracks off of that EP?
Yeah, something like that. It was, I think 3.
It was awesome, man. Like, he's got that raw Austin, Texas rock and roll, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I'm not trying to say you dodged the question, but I'm talking about he was commanding the room. What is it about Matthew Logan that makes me as an audience member enjoy that show? What was it?
Well, the dude's got the talent. He's so good at the actual performance aspect of what he does.
He's a good performer.
Right. It's like he just has that much more mental space, I guess, to play with the audience. You know, I don't know. He's just good. He's good.
Yeah, he just got it. You know?
Yeah, he's got
when you got it, you got it.
The stardust or whatever.
Right.
If he hears this, he's gonna probably turn it off. He thinks.
Right.
So what did you get into when I was in Michigan? Anything happen? It was kind of uneventful, or was it action packed?
Well, you know me, I'm continuing. I actually just finished up the semester while you guys were gone. Had a couple job interviews, so you know, just making my way in the adult world.
Did you get the call back?
I did. The funny thing is, I actually got through every step of the interview. They were about to hire me, but I was missing one of the credentials that they overlooked initially, and so I was actually on the phone with them yesterday. It's a no-go for me. For VIP Kids was the name of the company. It's you teach Chinese children English as a second language online. We're here in the 21st century.
So you didn't get the job?
No, did not get the job.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, it is what it is. I wasn't particularly looking forward to doing the job, if I'm honest with you.
You're trying to make a little money, though.
Yeah,
well,
you got to make money.
I mean, the podcast has got our pockets fat now.
Well,
right?
once the podcast takes off, we're going to be loaded.
Yeah, I've already told Claire that retirement is just around the corner now.
It's just all on this microphone right here.
Of course, the opposite is true, but that's the beautiful thing about this podcast, though, is unlike so many other art forms. Actually, I can't really speak to the podcast world all that much, being that this is the first time I've ever tried my hand at it. Not to reveal too much, but
well, I mean, to me, it makes sense. I mean, you look at people who listen to podcasts. What is it that they're listening for? I think they just want something to take their mind off of the menial labor that they're doing. You know, like most people who listen to podcasts are at work or they're on the road or they're running. You know,
it's crazy how many people listen to them too. Because I didn't realize how many people listen to podcasts till I started toying with the idea of doing this podcast, and I started noticing how many friends of mine talking about podcasts that they're listening to.
Everybody does it,
and I think I'm the only one, perhaps, that doesn't listen to podcasts all that much, and so maybe I'm the least qualified to be doing this. But
that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
Well, there are podcast listeners and there are podcast creators, and you, my friend, are podcast creators.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. That's what I'm saying. Well, Jordan Peterson, which I'm sure you've heard that name before. Mm-hmm. He's made it big on the intellectual scene. He's a Canadian clinical psychologist. He was a professor for a while, and now he's big on the scene because he's opened his mouth about gender politics and about why he doesn't agree with making laws about them, all this sort of thing. But what he said really struck me as profound. He said that because the universities are becoming more and more corrupt, what you're seeing is people are going to YouTube to get their fix of learning. That's where the knowledge is on open source websites like YouTube.
That's fascinating. So, well, back up just a little bit. You said that universities are getting more and more corrupt.
Yeah.
So I guess you need to elaborate a little bit there.
Okay, so my experience with this is limited. It's subjective, much like most people's. But from what I understand, classrooms are more geared towards the budget of the school itself. So the school needs funding. They get funding through standardized tests. Standardized tests get done by the students through learning by curriculum. And then the curriculum necessarily, in order to meet the standardized tests, is just a regurgitation of information. So instead of learning applicable theories about certain things, you're going to learn dates, names, and events. Now, that's helpful in a way, but if you really wanted to learn about any sort of issue, if you wanted to learn some philosophy of something, what's not going to help you is an ABCD standardized test that you take at the end of the year. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. That's an interesting. That's true. Everyone is looking stuff up on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're going through your day, you find something, and you're not sure how to do it. YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. How to fix your car. YouTube.
YouTube. Your phone's doing something with YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You almost wonder what people did before it. The whole university thing is a mess.
Yeah,
at least from the outside. As someone who was a student, I have experience. I've got a college degree, so I guess I can speak on it.
Yeah.
And it is like what you're saying. The skills that they're teaching feels like you could get more for your time.
Oh, for your money, man.
For your definitely for your money.
You can. So I'm in my 6th year of college. I'm going into my 6th year of university. And you and I went to the same university, and it's heralded as an excellent education. I'm talking like people uphold this thing as like at least they still got it going. You know what I mean? I'm on my 6th year of education, and I do not feel like I've learned anything. It's not funny. Now that's a harsh thing to say. Don't get me wrong. You learn by doing, and so there is some value in writing these papers and in answering these tests. At least you keep your brain active. But if I want to learn something, I go to YouTube.
Right.
I don't. How sad is it that I pay about $20,000 a year, and I don't even expect my college classes to.
You go to YouTube. You go to YouTube and you skip to the about a minute and a half mark.
Yeah.
Then you learn what you need to, because the first minute is always unnecessary. They never get right to the point.
Oh, never.
But I guess that'd be a little too convenient. We can't have everything.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
The university experience, I've always had the hunch that all they're doing is just, outside of maybe, the more skilled trades like engineers and doctors, I'm sure they learn a lot of practice. I would hope that the doctors are.
You would hope.
But I feel like they're teaching. Someone who goes to college for 4 years and gets a degree has proven that they're willing to do pointless activity, or a lot of pointless activity, moving their hands, keeping their brain moving, and not asking too many questions. And they're willing to do that for 4 years, so they're more than likely going to be willing to do it when they work for your company.
I would have to agree. I think that getting a bachelor's degree is just a certification of loyalty to something.
That's a good way to put it.
To something,
You dedicated 4 years, and there's merit there, I suppose.
There is. Like, it's not like it's all bad, but it could be so much better, especially for the money you're dishing out for it. You know what I mean?
And I think college is still a good thing to do.
It's necessary. Well,
it can be. I guess it's not always necessary.
It's not always. That's true. If you want to get into a trade, or if your father was rich, or you've got a brilliant idea, if you have good networking skills, you've got good people skills, and people, you can get by.
Is that the first question? If you're a guidance counselor, that's got to be one of the first questions when someone comes to you with career advice. They don't know what to do.
Okay.
Is your father rich? That's got to be like the first question.
Right.
That has to come into account. The advice you give.
Well, it's true.
I'm kidding, of course. But
you're joking, but if that was actually asked, you might get better guidance counseling.
Can't argue with that. I suppose you're right. Speaking of guidance counselors, I just turned 25.
That's what's up, man.
Which, people always say, I don't even feel like I'm 25 or I don't know, 25 is 25. I feel like I've been around for 25 years.
Yeah, same.
I've existed, whatever, for 25 years.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool turning 25 because it's kind of one of those numbers. It's quarter century, but it's just one of those numbers that as like a kid or as a teenager, I would always throw out there like, when I'm 25, by the time I'm 25,
right,
I'll have done this or I'll have done that. When I'm 25, I'll be here. So that's like it was always just like one of those numbers I would throw out there. And it was cool because when I turned 25, I didn't put much thought into it, but it did occur to me that, I kind of did meet my 25-year-old goals that I had set for myself as a teenager, and that felt good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you even made goals as a teenager. My goodness.
Right.
Have you seen the kids these days?
But I made goals, and they were somewhat realistic goals. I tried to be level-headed with myself.
Do you mind if I ask what the goals were? Can you be specific?
Yeah, I could be specific with some of them for sure. One of the goals was I wanted to be full-time in music.
Nice.
And I made that goal just basically by the skin of my teeth, right before I turned 25. I guess a little bit before that. But,
right.
I'm full time. As a music creator, one of the things I always would say is, I want my listener base, my audience to be bigger than just my friends and family.
Right.
I want there to be strangers.
You mean I'm not good enough for you, man? No.
Well, my friends and family, they're the most important audience still
Of course,
to me.
of course.
Their opinions hold the
that.
most weight for most of my family. I would say all my family. If someone who's in my tight circle doesn't like something that I've made, that definitely cuts a little deeper.
Andrew, it's almost Mother's Day. You have to say your whole family, man. You can't exclude mom. You can't exclude mom.
No, mom's wonderful. Mom's wonderful. I don't think many mothers dream of having sons making a career in the music business. Not as a performer,
I don't suppose
right?
they do. Send your son out on the road with just nothing but the tires and rock and roll music, I mean, what good can come of that?
Right.
Depraved monsters you are.
Oh, my gosh. The 25-year-old goals that mom did not like. But I think she's happy that I'm happy. So that's got to count for something, right?
That does count for something. So, all right. So you wanted to be full-time when you were 25. What else? What else was there?
I wanted to be married. Well, I didn't set that goal until I met Claire, and that wasn't just a suck-up response. That's the truth. Right. I actually didn't think that I wanted to be married when I was, like 17 or 18.
Right.
Of course, my mind changed when I met my wife.
There you go.
But yeah, I want, really the music, being in a stable position, all of that stuff, having somewhat of a listener base.
Right.
Being self-employed, all that stuff, whatever. Those were some of the goals. But then it also occurred to me when I was thinking about the goals that I had met as a 25-year-old that now I have my 30-year-old goals coming up.
Oh, man.
Which that 30 was the next number. I'd be like, when I'm 25, I'll have accomplished this.
Right.
When I'm 30, I'll have accomplished that. And so immediately...
Dare I ask what the 30-year-old goals are?
Well, I got some work to do.
Okay.
We'll put it that way. The main goal I set for myself as a 30-year-old was that I'd be a millionaire before 30. So
wow. Okay,
I don't know why. I don't know why I need to be a millionaire before 30, but that was something I always told my ambitious self.
Were you 18 when you set that goal?
I hope so, because that just makes it more bad.
Oh, I mean, that does make it more bad, undoubtedly.
When I realized that, I realized I had some work to do, but then I realized I had 5 years to get it done, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm on track right now.
Well, there you go.
Not financially, but I'm on track.
Well, I guess we'll revisit that in about 4.5 years, right? We'll see how you feel about that goal then.
That's fair. Dinner will be on me.
There we go.
By that time.
Dinner's always on you.
The saltines and chicken noodle soup is on me.
Right, there you go. The dollar store soup.
So, goals. Do you have some goals for 30-year-old Paul?
Oh, man. Well, what's funny is that as you're talking about this, I'm actually thinking to myself, what are my 30-year-old goals? You got to have goals. Goals are how you shape your actions for the future, right? My goals are pretty simple, actually. I want to be a full-time teacher. It's important to me that I don't give up my ambitions of being an artist. And I suppose I'm different than a lot of artists in that way, and I don't necessarily see success by who sees my work, but rather what my work looks like. So I want to be an artist that I'm satisfied in my work. I'm going to be a full-time teacher. By 30, I guess I'd like to be married by I'm 30, but none of these are like strict. They have to be done by the time I'm 30 or I'll hate myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty loose on them.
That's cool. It's probably better that way. You want to have goals, but you don't want to be, controlled by them.
Yeah, no, it that could be unhealthy. I define success a lot differently nowadays. Now that I am 25, when I was 18, I would have, God only knows what I would have defined success like back then. I would have said something stupid like I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30.
It's not funny.
And I'm still controlled by that goal, clearly. I'm like slaving away. I don't know if I could slave away hard enough. I don't think to make $1 million by 30, starting with nothing, I don't think that working harder is going to get it. I think you're going to have to work a little smarter.
You're going to have to work smarter, for sure, for sure. But, I mean, you've always been a hard worker. I mean, You were doing that sushi job for how many years?
I was a professional sushi chef for just under 5 years, which is crazy.
Well, what's crazier about it is that you were waking up at the butt crack of dawn in order to go make this sushi. You know,
I woke up at 4 a.m. Well, I would set my alarm for 4:20 a.m. and I'd probably tumble out of bed about 4:35 a.m.
Right.
And but yeah, that's when I get up and I'd go roll the sushi for the
6 days a week.
6 days a week. My boss, bless her heart, wonderful people. Their business model, the shop is open 7 days a week, and they're the owners.
Yep.
And it's a small family-owned thing. It's not like an operation that requires a ton of workers. It's just like 2 people at a time, really.
Right.
And so they never took days off. They're working 7 days a week. It was just a way of life.
Yep.
And so I come on board, and they paid pretty well, which is why I found myself doing it, which was it was incredibly random. Incredibly random. But so they're like, you're going to work 6 days a week, because in their eyes, we work 7 days a week. We don't get days off. We get Christmas, we get Easter.
Right.
So 6 days a week, if you get a day off, that's like,
wow,
what are
you've earned it.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do with all that time?
Right.
So yeah, I was salaried 6 days a week, full days. And then I would make a delivery run to Atlanta, which is where we're from. That's about a 2-hour drive.
Yep.
And then delivering packages all day. So I'd do that for the company once a month. So yeah, it was some time.
You were hustling. Now that itself sounds miserable. It's miserably impressive, I would say. Now, on top of that, you also started Forthright Records.
Right.
And you started Brother Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
All on top of that.
Right.
So what does a day in the life of Andrew just a year ago look like? Walk me through one day.
Well, we'd have to go back 2 years.
Okay,
I think.
2 years ago.
Because that's when I was really doing the sushi thing still. I started to wean back from that a year ago. Thankfully, I was able to transition into being full-time into music. But 2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago.
A day in the life of Andrew started at 4:20 a.m.
4:20 in the morning.
And then it went away and then came back at 4:35 a.m.
Right.
When I woke up, and I would fill a huge canister of coffee. And I'm not going to lie, between 5 a.m. when I got to the shop and 7 a.m. were some pretty righteous times.
And why was that?
Because I'm getting that coffee high. It's kicking in. I'm also working in a kitchen that looks the same every day. Like every day you hit the reset button at the end of the night, right? So you're cleaning up shop.
Yep.
Everything goes back in the place it was at the start of the day. Everything's clean. Trash cans are empty. It's got to be spotless.
Right.
So you show up every morning to the same exact setting, which to me, it's like it almost put my senses on blast because I didn't have anything.
You were on autopilot.
Right. I didn't have anything externally that changed that was a variable other than maybe making a different roll of sushi or something. But it put me kind of in tune with how I felt for good and for worse, because if I didn't feel good, then it was miserable.
Yeah.
But when I felt good and when that coffee was kicking in, and I was just, my mind felt fresh. I would keep my phone out next to me, and I'd just write down ideas, things I remembered I had to do. And, it was just, I remember getting those high moments. And I'm eating sushi, too. When the rice is still warm, it's coming out, I'm popping. Of course I'm eating some of those. You make a roll, it looks perfect. You got to try it,
Right. There's a gift and a curse to those early shift jobs. You know what I mean? I worked a coffee job for about 2 years where I was waking up at 4 a.m, going in, making all the coffee. And there is something about that time of day. No one else is up. You're just on your own, doing your work.
How was it as someone who worked in coffee, when or not your employees, but your customers are showing up and they're basically coming to you for their morning jolt
we were serving you is what we were doing,
Right. I mean, some grumpy ones, or were they all?
Oh man, yeah. Well, you'd have your regulars that would tip you. They'd be cordial. You'd have the crabby ones that just want their coffee. Shut up and give me my coffee. I mean, it was what it was. We did a service to people and tried to feel good about doing it. Other side that we were tired as hell and didn't want to be out there.
It's crazy how the coffee business has exploded.
Oh man, I think it recently took over sugar as the number one, traded commodity in the entire world is coffee?
That doesn't surprise me to hear.
It's like the number one consumed good in the entire world. Coffee.
It's pretty righteous. I mean,
it's amazing.
It's
my favorite drug.
There's nothing I would rather have alter my state of mind most days.
right.
In the morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Any other time, that's a different discussion.
Well, also, not only does it wake you up and sustain you, just imagine working that morning shift without the coffee, you know. Not only does it sustain you, but science has proven that it's healthy for you. There are medical benefits to drinking a cup of coffee every day.
That's wild because it seems like ground up dirt. Like
it does. It is. It's beans. It's not dirt. But
of course, all the coffee people hate me now for saying
right.
I appreciate some coffee.
Oh, man.
Definitely lifts my mood. Speaking of moods.
Oh, boy.
You know how like sometimes you'll be in a bad mood, right? And
okay.
You'll realize it. Like you'll have that moment where you're like, maybe you like kind of lost your cool or you like did something out of haste or something and you're just like, I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You just kind of realize it.
Your mood ring's turning red.
Right. So because we have that thought, because we have that realization.
Okay.
There's obviously a time where your mood starts to change, right? And we don't know when that is, but you do know when you realize that it has changed or you realize that it is not a good mood.
Sure.
And however long that takes to get from point A to the point of realization, I'm sure fluctuates. You could be in a bad mood all day and then kind of realize at the end of the day, like, I'll look back, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done this, or I should have just relaxed. And I say all that to say, I feel like I'm coming out of a bad mood.
Right now. Right now.
Like, maybe coming out of the mood over like a couple weeks' time.
Okay.
Maybe not like this instant.
That's interesting.
I feel like I'm coming out of a mood that lasted like a year. A year of just like a...
What was this mood?
Oh, just kind of like a anxious, almost grumpy. Not enough to like change my personality or ruin my friendships. Yeah, I might not have had enough coffee.
Okay, so delve into that a little bit for me. Like, why do you think you were having that mood?
I just was too much in my own head. I had a lot going on in my defense. I had a lot going on.
Do you feel open enough to talk about that? I'm like, all right.
I'm like, no, I don't actually.
I mean, Dr. Paul is in the building, Andrew. If
as a gentleman in Cleveland told me just a couple weeks ago, he said, "I'm not Dr. Phil, but I feel good."
There you go. I'm about to steal that.
Shout out to Kenny from Cleveland. Kenny drinking plenty. That's how he introduced himself to me. He said, "My name is Kenny, and I drink plenty."
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Bless Kenny. Kenny, we hope you're doing well out there.
Yeah, Kenny was in a good mood. He was in a real good mood.
So what? You were in your head. You were in your own head too much. I have a feeling that podcast listeners are more introverted than extroverted. That's just, I have nothing to base that off of. That's just a theory.
Right. That's just a statement shot from the hip.
Why were you in your own head too much? And what was it about that caused you to be in a rough mood?
Well, I'm an analyzer, and I overanalyze my day to day.
Class A introvert over here. I'm familiar.
So, I mean, there's that. There's the just pure busyness aspect of, I didn't have time to, I was working 2 full-time jobs, which there's plenty of people that do that. I'm not,
right.
I mean, that's not like some superhuman feat.
Right.
But yeah, and it can take its toll, especially when you're doing it for long periods of time. So yeah, you just
wanted some peace of mind then?
Just wanted some peace of mind. Just the time to basically just need a vacation.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just had that thought, like, how long could you go in a bad mood? Not it's like you could go your whole life.
You could go. Most people do. I mean, shoot.
Life's like one big bad mood.
You ever worked with that guy who was always pissed off, always mad? He was always saying something or another.
Right. I always tried to win him over. I always find the grumpiest bastard in the company.
Oh yeah.
And trying, like, at first, your first couple days, you're trying to stay away from that guy.
Right.
You were staying out of his way. But then you start, like, to me, it's always been like a challenge.
And then it turns into a game.
It's a challenge. You want to win this guy's approval. You want him on your side. You want him to be grumpy on your behalf.
Yeah, there you go. Because you want that guy fighting for you.
Exactly.
When it hits the fan, you want that guy on your side.
Yeah, so I always enjoyed going after that. Back when I had coworkers, now I'm just lonely in my now I'm the guy. I have mirrors on the walls. I'm like
there you go.
Multiple personalities.
Now you yell at yourself.
I should get different I've thought about having like different hats or different kind of glasses to wear for different, like based on the kind of work I'm doing at the time. If I'm in the studio recording music, I'll wear one hat. If I'm like doing business moves, like working on the website, or it's a different hat for that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Psychology has shown that if you quote unquote dress up for work, you feel better, you feel more confident, and you'll perform better. Some places have dress codes just for that fact. They want you at your best, so they're going to have you dress up.
And I'm sure there's merit there. I would agree with that. I as a self-employed person, I don't typically wear my pajamas. That's like the stereotype is when you're self-employed, you can just work in your pajamas, but I don't.
I hope you wouldn't wear your pajamas because you work with your brother, right?
Right, and we both sleep wearing minimal clothing, so that would be a little awkward.
Right. Sleeping in the car together with your underwear.
Right. Gosh, man, we've slept in some. We've recently discovered that sleeping in a van, though it is uncomfortable, it's not that uncomfortable.
It's not the worst.
So the problem is, even though a lot of times we could afford the hotel room, we're just choosing not to just save the money, which I think is prudent. But we've slept in a minivan more times in the last couple of months than I'm proud of.
Well, I don't know. I think it's very cool. I mean, I'm impressed by it at the very least.
The last tour, I took a trash bag.
Oh no!
I took a box of popcorn, like a whole multi-pack of popcorn.
Okay.
Popped the whole thing, just one after another. I just stood in the kitchen popping bags of popcorn, and I threw them all in a trash bag, tied that thing up. It was a Santa sack full of bags of popcorn, and it just lasted the whole tour.
Wow.
Just eating popcorn. Every time we wanted a snack,
just grab the popcorn.
Yeah,
just grab the trash bag of popcorn.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to save that money. I'm trying to be a millionaire before 30.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to spend $3.49 on a pack of cheese and jerky at Spinks or whatever at the gas station on the road.
No way. So you're a frugal man. I respect that.
I try and be.
That's how you make $1 million by 30, right? By trash bag popcorn.
Right. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea hearing this. Like, I am not even close to that. Like, if you're trying to like rob me, if you're trying to like hack into my bank account, your efforts will not be rewarded. There won't be much there for you.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
You might acquire a negative. You might acquire
lose
my
money.
debt. If you want to steal my identity, you might find yourself in debt.
Wow. No comment.
Yeah, I don't know how much we want to share about our financial.
I'm good.
Oh man, episode 2, and we are rolling. I've enjoyed thus far. I've enjoyed doing this. We're breaking the third wall. Is that what they call it? The third wall?
I think
in
it's
film.
The fourth wall,
the fourth wall. I should know that. We're breaking that wall right now, and we're talking about the podcast. I think we're supposed to.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know for myself, I appreciate when people don't try and veil things. They just let it be what it is.
Right.
What will be, will be.
What will be, will be. What will be, will be. So I hit my brother with this the other day.
Let's hear it.
Now this isn't necessarily going to apply to you, just because you just started seeing someone recently.
Yeah.
Not that we really need to talk about that or anything.
Sure.
But you're seeing someone, but let's go back in time before you met this person, right?
Okay.
So they're not even in the picture.
Sure.
Uh-oh. And this is what I hit my brother with. I'm going to hit you with it.
All right, let's hear it.
Would you rather, for the rest of your life, have to eat the last meal that you ate for every meal for the rest of your life? That's all you get to eat for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Whatever you ate last.
The meal I just had today.
Whatever the last meal was that you had today.
Okay.
That's what you're going to eat for the rest of your life. Would you rather do that, or would you rather be with the last person you've been in a relationship with?
Excluding the one I'm in currently.
Exactly. Which isn't necessarily a fair question because of that.
Right.
But I'm asking it anyways.
Well, I will answer. I will answer.
This is such an absurd. He's like a married man.
Right. I will answer and not think about the person I'm dating currently.
Correct. And that's what you're supposed to do here.
Okay. Oh, man. Well, the last girl I dated was absolutely crazy, man. That being said, I don't know if I could eat hamburger helper the rest of my life. I don't know if I could do it. What's worse? Someone who's psychopathic, or you get sick of the dollar store cheese on that beef, you know? I mean,
it's not funny!
So Steven, that's a great response. My brother, Steven.
Okay.
He had just eaten a ham, egg, and cheese sandwich when I asked him this.
Nice.
So he had just eaten that. But this is not a glorious ham and egg and cheese sandwich. This is like his homemade, sorry version.
Right.
And so I asked him this question, and he chose the homemade ham and egg and cheese sandwich.
Wow.
So he's going to be eating those for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I would have to say that when push comes to shove, I'd have to be eating the hamburger helper too. I think it would be worth it to hate every single dinner versus hating the person you were living with. You know what I mean?
That's true. I like that scenario though. I like that question, and I hope anyone hearing this will adopt it, because I think it's like a good. Unless the person's in a relationship currently, which is what your situation.
Right. Well, you asked me. It's fair game for the audience then.
Right.
It's only fair they have to suffer along with me.
Right. I thought that was funny though.
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah, it definitely puts your mind to work. It's just like the I've had people ask, or one person I've had them ask me, would you rather have hair for teeth or teeth for hair?
Oh man,
weird.
Teeth for hair.
It's very weird.
Teeth for hair.
You'd rather have teeth on your head.
Yeah.
You know how crazy that would look?
Well, I mean, it would look funky, but how would you eat? You'd just be brushing your food,
I guess you'd have to eat some soup.
I've got a question for you. This is a little out there. Would you rather kick a soccer ball with a toothpick in your big toe, in your big toenail,
underneath the toenail,
or crap a live bird? You have to pick one.
Oh my gosh. What kind of bird? What species? This plays into my decision. Is it a hummingbird? This is so bad that we're even having this guy. But is it a hummingbird? Because I could probably manage that.
You would want it to be a hummingbird. I'll let you have it be a hummingbird. I'll give you that.
Hummingbird it is.
All right.
Although that is so cruel and just.
It's a terrible question.
It's a terrible question, but of course we would never do such a thing.
Of course not.
The situation would never arise.
It would be hard to eat a live bird.
Right. It'd be hard to have teeth for hair too.
Yeah, it would. Plus, it would just look terrible.
I love how there's this conversation. The last 5 minutes has just been almost entirely pointless. You know? Other than for the sake of entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Which entertainment plays such a huge role.
It's the 21st century, man. You know what I mean?
I've been in so many different on so many different sides of this topic. The topic being, I guess I should say, I've been in so many different schools of thought concerning cultures and trends and mainstream things. Because when I'm a teenager, I'm really athletic. I'm playing sports.
Right.
I'm all about the sports world. But then I go through a hippie kind of free mind, free spirit phase, and I'm like,
I remember the moccasins.
you kind of push against like jock culture.
Oh yeah.
But then I get older, I'm like, sports is cool. I love it.
You're back watching
it's
the game.
fun. Like you go back and forth between what has merit and what doesn't have merit. Like, no, my time is only worthwhile if I'm creating art. I'm like, no, my time is worthwhile if I'm exercising my body, playing a game.
Right.
It's interesting how we kind of
your perspective changes.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I absolutely think it is. I think one of the beautiful parts about being human is the ability to enjoy a wide array of different activities. It's the stuff that makes life worth living. You know what I mean? You wouldn't always want to eat Hamburger Helper every night for dinner, for example.
Right.
A nice trash bag of popcorn would go great. You got to switch it up.
It seems like the humans have a tendency not to do that, though. We have a tendency, almost like an instinctual inclination to do one thing or similar things over and over again. Like it makes sense from like a career, like work of your hands perspective, because you want to be a master of your craft. You don't want to do 100 different jobs before you want to be good at something that can take care of you in return. But from an entertainment standpoint, it seems like we all kind of stay in a similar camp. People who love sports tend to love sports.
We're habitual creatures.
Yeah, we're habitual creatures.
I mean, I think it makes sense to a point. I mean, if you look at muscle memory, for example, in order to learn to play guitar, you have to repeat an action over and over and over until it sticks. We kind of live that way with other things. It's way easier to do your sushi job when you've done it 100 times versus getting a new job every single day. It just wouldn't work out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
That being said, though, I do think novelty when it comes to you is much more enjoyable because we do have routines, and I think routines are important.
The routine life definitely get some momentum going. When you get that, I do miss having that set hour job.
Oh yeah.
Because you knew, leaving that job every day was the greatest.
You were done.
You go
You're
home.
done for the day.
You had, you go down, eat some, go home, cook some food, throw on your favorite show, take a little break. Those were good times. Then the weekends,
Oh, the weekends.
Oh, the
man.
weekends.
Were you a weekend warrior, or did you stay up like every single night?
I mean, it got to a point where my body just demanded to sleep.
It needed sleep.
When
Those 4 a.m. shifts.
Yeah. I mean, after, 11 p.m., my body was spent.
Well, I think routine is part of that. I think that we crave routine for the same reason that you were in a bad mood for about a year. It's a sense of security, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
There's some sort of peace about what you're going to do tomorrow, you know how you're going to do it, and you know that you can get it done. That's work.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Episode 2. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Andrew Oliver.
I'm Paul Walters.
And we'll see you next time.